Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the inaugural episode of Break It Down, the only FWA podcast where we take matches, promos, feuds, anything you can think of, and we break it down to its very core to get to where the writer was really trying to go with their work. I'm your host, Comeback Kid, and I am joined by my co-host, the one and only Oz.
Thank you, Tony. It is I, Oz, the co-host of this podcast called Break It Down. Since everyone refused to have me on their podcast, I decided I will join Tony in this lovely endeavor instead. Thank you for having me. But tonight I am not the star of the show. Instead, man, let's hear about you.
Hello, I am Man. I am in the strange place of being a guest on the podcast as opposed to a host. But I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to breaking it down.
We also have a special guest here joining us. I love him to death. I call him Baby Cakes, but you all may know him as rawr, the handler for Aleister Black. Everybody, welcome rawr.
Hey, how's it going?
So for this first episode of Break It Down, as I said when we came in, we break down matches, we break down promos, we break down feuds, we break down almost any type of writing that is done for the Fed. And for this episode, we're going to be breaking down one of the most controversial matches that happened in FWA history, in my opinion. I don't know if I speak for all of you when I say that, but it had a lot of controversy from the moment that we started reading it to the very end to a couple of weeks afterwards. This whole event truly was one of the most controversial FW events for many reasons, whether it be have been on screen or off screen. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what event we're talking about. It is the Carnal Contendership 2022. Crazy shit happened at this event. Oz, you were a part of the live read for it. Do you remember anything about Carnal Contendership from that year?
Yeah, I remember man out of time beating the asses of the stock market.
Yes, that's actually a memory I kind of wanted to forget, but I do remember that, and I remember the craziness that was the main or the opening match of the show, which was Michelle von Horowitz versus Thomas West, and we saw something that honestly, now that I think back on it, I was like, that's actually pretty clever. But when we saw it, I know a lot of people felt as though we were cheated out of a big match moment because it ended with just a quick finisher from Thomas West, which was the Busaiko knee. I probably said that wrong, but I'm sorry. And we got a new world champion. We had that, but before we dive into the main event, I kind of want to get some background details on that. So, man, at this time, you had was it carpal tunnel? Was that what was going on with your hand? What happened?
No. So I had I'd picked up a football injury, and I mean I won't get into nitty gritty, but I ended up in hospital because it all got infected and stuff. So what had happened was, to fight the infection, I had a cannula in my hand. So I was, whilst writing this match, I was recovering from a 2-day stay in hospital, and also only using one hand, and because I didn't have a laptop at the time, I was writing it on my phone. So I was typing with my left hand. I'm right-handed on my phone, and yeah, I think the match in the end was something that's stupid, 20-odd thousand words that I'd managed to do.
You endured all that, put in all that work to get out a show, and everyone repaid you with absolute hatred.
Yeah, and didn't even come close to winning match of the year either.
In all seriousness, so man, at this time you're in the moment where it's kind of basically like you're letting everybody know, hey man, I'm writing with one hand. You're like Kurt Angle. I remember this. You were in the Discord letting us know, I'm writing this with a one freaking hand on a phone, and we were hyped about this matchup as you were getting ready to go into it. So then we start reading it. But before I get into the nitty gritty of the read through, I want to I want to get in kind of what your idea was when you were crafting this match, because I view it like this. If this was real wrestling, you would have been the producer of the match, right? So you're
Mhm.
producing this matchup, and you have some of the hottest acts. Because at this time, I want to say FWA was probably on fire. You've got
Yeah.
Danny Toner, you've got the nephews who are just running them up. You've got Sean Summers, you've got Mike Parr, you've got Aleister Black, you've got Crash, you've got Cyrus Truth. You've got a stacked roster, so you want to make sure you showcase everybody to a certain extent. What was your thought process going into it when you were putting this together?
So I think you're completely right. There was a need to make sure that kind of all the relevant and correct people got good showings in the match or got big moments in the match. But at the same time, obviously, something which I think I actually did a lot better with this year's CC was giving everyone something rather than just a select few people, if that makes sense. Like we can talk about it more later if you want, but I think this year's one I wrote, I think is infinitely better than last year's. In terms of match balance and everything like that. Um, with this one, I, I think the mistake was saying to people, "You can put as many people as you want in this match," because from a writing perspective, from a match quality perspective, and basically because I had said that, I had to honor that, and that meant working in everything, and there's not throwing shade at anyone, obviously, but there are people who kind of said, right, okay, well, he said I can put anything I want in here, so I'm just going to throw as much of my stuff in as I can at him, and then he's going to just make it work. And John and AON, I think, are kind of the two main people in that category. And again, that's not throwing any sort of shade or any other handler at them. Um, the So the challenge, was just kind of trying to make all that fit. And I do personally think if we were watching this match and it wasn't in an E-Fed, and obviously it wasn't, we had a direct kind of benefit or cost from the result of the match. I think watching that match, if this was a Royal Rumble, I'd be entertained
Hmm.
by it personally. I would, as a fan, I think I would have got what I wanted out of it. Um,
So I guess my question, because I want to ask a follow up on that one, I want to get Oz and Rar's thoughts on this too. So you said if you were watching this as a fan, you would have been entertained by it. What to you makes a good Royal Rumble? Because that's what the CC is
yeah,
based off of.
it's
It's just a
it's
Rumble. Spoiler
yeah,
alert.
yeah. Sorry for people who didn't know that. It's a story. I think with a long match like that, and I've written quite a lot of long matches before in the Fed, and kind of before when I used to do bookers. Um, for a match like that, you've got to have a story thread running through it. And the main,
Mhm.
obviously, I was writing it knowing who had won, knowing exactly what I was doing. The story of this
Yeah.
match was fucking Danny Toner going an hour and 20 minutes from start to finish, getting his ass kicked for over an hour, going through
Mhm.
enemies, allies, anyone he had to, um, to get what he wanted out of it. That was the story. That was the story going into it, because obviously he had the whole thing with Uncle, the feud, where Uncle named him and Danny 1-2. So there was a clear plan, if that makes sense, that needed to be acted, and we can talk about it more in the match. But I think one way that this match can kind of be viewed differently is if you think about it as two matches. And when we get into the read through, I'll say where the natural point, because I think there's a very clear reset point in this match,
Yeah.
and after that, and I think some of the issues people had was with what came before that reset point, um, and then kind of how much time that took to get to the reset point, and then I think everything after that, obviously, because you're chopping off. Say, if you chop off like the first 10 entrants, I think you end up with 2 matches instead of 1. But for the story and where obviously we as bookers knew, and me as a writer knew where things were headed, because you got to remember when I was writing this match, I knew that it was going to be Danny Turner and Thomas West at Back in Business.
Right.
So, I had to write to tell that story along. And so, yeah, I'll let the other guys talk, so I'm not just going on. But
No, you're fine.
I think, yeah, when we get into the match itself, we can I can kind of say where I think that breaking point is, where and hopefully, because my goal for this podcast is for people just to say, oh, okay, all right, he was thinking that, so maybe this match isn't as fucking trash as we thought it was.
And that's exactly the goal of this podcast, is to kind of get that insight from the writer, because a lot of times we're just going in, and a lot of times we're just going in with our own thoughts on a lot of the things when we read on the EFED, and sometimes it'll get answered in the Discord, sometimes it'll get answered. Well, who are we kidding? It never gets answered on the forum because no one leaves reviews of anything anymore, except for Back in Business. I see a lot of post reviews there. I don't know what SS did to get everybody to want to do that, but shout out to him. I hope that stays up, because I love seeing that activity, and it makes people say, "Oh snap, this is actually an active EFED." But that's a plug for another day. Oz, baby, tell me what makes a good Royal Rumble match in your opinion.
I think from like start to finish, well, having a good story, overarching story obviously helps. And on paper, you do enjoy like Danny Turner getting his ass whipped by the nephews from start to finish, being this underdog. But let me give you like, this example. I think it was a few years back when like Brock Lesnar started the match, and like motherfucker comes out and Lesnar eliminates him, and somebody else comes out and Lesnar eliminates him. There was this overarching story of Lesnar dominating the match and like will eliminate this guy, and through that they met Drew McIntyre, a star. But when Lesnar did all that, when you look some of the guys like he eliminated, there was like shot and measurement. Obviously, who Lesnar had a connection with through their amateur wrestling background. There was like Keith Lee, like he said, like you're a big motherfucker. But I think like mostly I remember this match.
Yeah.
And we will see if I'm right about it when we actually start breaking down the match. Like Danny Torre comes out and the guy he's fighting with fucking Alphonse Swiss Sherpa or like Eric Bana. Like Eric Bana comes out, Alphonse Swiss Sherpa comes out, and nephew number 3 comes out, Made of Death comes out. Like I just don't think it was all that much interesting to put Danny through, but like, and the first half of the match, maybe first quarter of the match was entirely this, like Danny Turner beats interchangeable nephew number 3, and then interchangeable nephew number 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 all gang up on Danny, and he's in apparel. Oh, there comes interchangeable nephew number 8. I think that was my like main issue with the construction of this first half, and I think the most of the criticisms about this match comes from that half, most exclusively. I just like don't remember any like sufficient criticism that comes in the second half of the match.
Right.
If that makes
I
sense.
agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. I see what you mean. I think though, and I will give Roy a chance to speak as much as I know he wants to. So I think that's, I mean, and SS and John will roast and correct me if I'm wrong, but that was for me writing it kind of the point. Like, you were supposed to get annoyed by it, because the point is, obviously we're loading it with all these nephews who aren't great, and then Danny is getting ganged up on, like 7-on-1 and shit like that. There's very few people who can overcome those odds, and when you think about the nephews as a group, they have been fighting with Danny for the last couple of months leading up to this and beating him as well. So, you know, he is on the back foot when it comes to the nephews.
Yeah.
And the for me, the kind of point was obviously the nephews are obviously cheesing the system, entering like 2 or 3 at a time, instead of, you know, 1 at a time. I mean, that had to be a decision because I was, you know, they said, you know, I said, what nephews can I have? And they said, oh, all these. And then I was like, well, I'm not putting them all, entering them all, because then we'd have had like another 9 fucking entrants to write. The beginning of the match, I think, I don't know if you can see what I've got on the screen. The clear thing, obviously, this is a clear prestige and piss take of the 2011 Royal Rumble, where CM Punk was doing what Uncle was doing.
Which I think is, I honestly, I apologize for interrupting, but like, I think that is the CM Punk moment of the Rumble and Uncle doing that. That was probably one of my favorite parts. Before we get into the match, because I want to get Baby Cake's Rawr's thoughts on what makes a good Royal Rumble in his opinion.
Battle royals are inherently terrible. Yeah, that's it. No.
Yeah.
How did you win the world title?
You.
In a terrible battle royal.
Yeah.
Yeah, by writing a winning promo.
Yeah, that's it. All right, to make a good Royal Rumble, you need like 3 big things. You need a fan favorite going in who everyone wants to win. You need like a good story throughout the match, and you need star power for them to overcome. Like, look at the 2000 Rumble. Terrible Rumble, right? But it had the
Right.
other elements. Good story, fan favorite you wanted to win. No star
Mhm.
power, terrible Rumble. 92
Yeah.
Rumble, on the other hand, exact opposite. You had every fucking element there. And that's why it's the GOAT.
92, that's what year? Is that the one Rick won?
It's Rick's.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
No lie there. That's one of the greatest Rumbles.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan was a total fucking bitch in that one, wasn't he?
He
oh,
was. He was.
but maybe
But
that's it.
but I think what made that Rumble even more special was it was kind of like, oh shoot, like, you know,
Or
anybody
maybe he
could come
wasn't,
in here
dude.
and win this thing, and it'd still be like, all right, I accept the winner for who it is. But in my opinion, I don't think we really had that problem here for this for the Carnal
Absolutely.
Contendership because I think everybody kind of went to this match saying, "Yo, we want Danny Toner to get the W," because Danny Toner was at his zenith of popularity at this moment, in my opinion. I think he was probably the hottest star wrestler. He was
Can
over
I
in
interject
all of
something about
FWA.
Denny?
Yeah.
So this like cherish this moment because this is one of the rare times I'm going to say something negative about Danny Turner is that I think a lot of people forget that like Danny Turner wasn't exactly at his hottest like coming into this Carnal Contendership because yes there was this uncle feud going on but he was also no showing left and right. He lost the one-on-one match due to a no-show. He
It's
lost the
true.
Grudge Mountain due to a no-show. He lost the Peacock. Was there a no-show? Man, you would know better than me.
No.
Okay, so like I was genuinely fearing that like Tig was going to quit the Fed by that point. So like I genuinely don't agree with like yeah, Danny Turner was at his like most popular coming into this match.
Yep. Yep. I think what differentiates this from an E-Fed thing from an actual Royal Rumble, though, is that obviously, like 2 weeks before the show goes up, everyone has been able to read the promos. So, I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong. I think a lot of people went into this match, you know, before the show even posted, seeing Tig's promo, thinking, oh well, Danny's probably going to win. Or it might have been Peacock. So everyone went in, and obviously because the booking had dictated the Toner was entering first. So I again, obviously because you guys weren't in the kind of staff sphere, was it a case of you guys all thought coming into this, well, Danny has to enter number one. Tiga's posted clearly the best promo, so Danny is going coast to coast. Like, did you guys know or suspect that going into the match before it even been posted?
Oz, I'll let you take that one.
So like, this is the nature of EFED's thing with that is, yeah, you can read the promos and you can make an educated guess on how things are going to turn out. And for example, like some of the Carnal Contendership matches, you just decide the order first and like read the promos and like guess who's gonna win. For example, when Noah Diamond won the Carnal Contendership, he actually won from the number 2. I don't think like Noah was supposed to win or at least was thought to be a potential winner when the order was like created.
I'm not sure. I mean, I definitely have not planned any of these
I'm
matches
not trying
like
to
that.
say like no one wanted me to win like anything.
Yeah.
I'm obviously not trying to say something like that, but the thing is, the book is one, and it's not like you're going to change that because like to make it more sense, just because like Connor posted the best promo. If he's number one through the dictation of booking, and he had posted the best promo, then he has to go coast to coast. This is not like Roman Reigns in 2015, where like he's taken out of the match and just lays in the backstage for like 20 minutes before coming out.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I think was part of the challenge of writing the match, because I was kind of dealing with, well, that this is kind of what people probably expect. How can I make it as interesting as I can? And that's why I went for, you know, the kind of beginning of the match as it was. So yeah, that was because that was something I was kind of wondering, that, you know, how do you make what could arguably a foregone conclusion interesting? And, you know, when you've got 40 other entrants to kind of cater for as well, you know, I think there was a lot, I remember, of a balancing act, and, you know, making sure that a lot of people got some shine, and some people, you know, there are entrants in this match, they come in, hit a few moves, and then they're out. They're you know, they're in there purely as fodder for other people to get, you know, to buff up their elimination numbers. You know, because the handler asked for them to be in there, but I didn't really have it. You know, they didn't really have anything going on, weren't really in a feud or anything like that. So it was quite hard to actually make something. Which again is why I think this year's CC was better, because I feel like I was able to do that for everyone, and capping it at one entrant per person, which I know a lot of people weren't happy about. But I think it resulted in actually a much better match that flowed a lot better. Everyone in there got something to do. I'm considering that also in this year's CC, like 3/4 of the entrants, or 2/3, 3/4 of the entrants weren't, you know, characters who didn't have promos written for them. They were purely storyline things. Because, you know, there wasn't that many promos submitted for CC this year. So, you know, that I felt was much easier to write, and I, you know, and like I said, I think came out with a better output.
Right on. All right, so before we jump, because we're fine. If you're listening, you're probably like, when are they going to get to the match? When are they going to get to the match? We're going to get to it. I just have one last thing I want to talk about, because, as Man said, you know, in the storyline leading up to the match, you know, you have Danny Toner and Uncle. They're coming in 1 and 2. However, somebody managed to get number 30, and that person was a wild card themselves, because it could be argued like, oh shit, could this person actually do it and steal the whole entire thing by coming in at number 30? You love them, you hate them, you have to respect how good of a villain this person is. Sean Summers, man, you somehow we came up with this idea. I don't even remember how it came about, but I pitched like, oh, what if Sean Summers got number 30 or whatnot? And you took some creative liberty with that one, which but did it ever come into you guys' mind of like, oh shoot, we can actually throw a monkey wrench and kind of swerve, but not swerve because Danny's gonna win regardless. But have Sean
Yeah.
Summers be like, one of the people who could be a villain to kill that whole Daniel Bryan-esque story for Danny Toner, or was it kind of just like, nah, man, I've got something perfect for him?
It was. I mean, you're gonna have to remind me because I genuinely don't remember. Did you write a promo for the match?
I did, but let me tell you, it was garbage.
Okay. Yeah. See. I was thinking. My thinking behind it was obviously if Sean Summers was top 7, Geo spot, the ending, his involvement in the match wouldn't
Right.
have been what it was. Because I wouldn't have written it so there was only 6 people left in the match when he came out, and then what happens. What the thinking there was, again, this is kind of drug infused hysteria, but I remember thinking, and you guys know what I'm like as a writer. I will, if there's something silly that can be done, I will do it. Wait for Rat and Steve are back in business, Jesus. So the thinking behind that was because it was such a hyped up thing. Oh, Sean Summers, the commentators, we don't know how many people are going to win in this match. We don't know. From entrance 35 onwards, they're all like, how many are going to be left? Is this going to be Sean Summers? To the point where, they were actually and probably, I'm imagining fans in the arena actually wanting to see Sean Summers because it just meant that it could, that it's gonna stop. The thinking there though was, I was just thinking, if you just imagine the most hated heel coming out, they've bullshitted their way into this unearned last best spot. They come out and they just get thrown out straight away. All of the build up and all of the suspense for that, for me, it was just too good of an opportunity to pass up. Because I could imagine just seeing that. Imagine you're there live and that happens.
Yeah.
Everyone's going fucking wild if that happens.
Yeah, and they just imagine his expression, are you kidding me?
Exactly, and not in the Santino way. It's not a comedy thing because he's not a comedy wrestler, but this is it's like a legit thing where you've got this guy who I think you're right. I think if say Summers was one that would have been going further on, top 7 kind of thing, I think it'd have been perfect. Once all the nephews have been fucked off, it'd have been perfect. It'd have been a perfect kind of late match antagonist for Toner.
Yeah.
But for me, and I know that kind of there were other things in the past Summers rivalry that kind of didn't exactly work out at that point in time. But I think I remember going at that point thinking that Parr needs a big moment over Summers. And again, say if Mike Parr wasn't there to do that to Sean Summers, I probably wouldn't have done that to Sean Summers.
Wow.
Because I think it helped that story going along into back in business, because it gave Summers the additional thing of, you've just embarrassed me. You've just embarrassed me. You just made me look like an idiot in front of the whole world. And and from my understanding of the Sean Summers character, it's all about image and perception.
100%.
Looking weak like that just doesn't work for him. So, I think it, because everything I try and write, especially now, more now, especially than me back then, understanding e-fedding and a lot of the characters a lot more now. Everything I do now, I try and do with a purpose, and that was how I was approaching that as well. I think of, okay, well, if you do this in a write-up, how can this affect something else?
Right.
What can a handler do with this? Because it's really easy when you're writing, and not just a match like this, any match, just to write a bog standard match. They exchange a few moves and one of them wins, and then they both fuck off. It's if you can give a match a story or a bit of uniqueness, or the mannerisms, or something happens to the characters in an E-Fed world, that gives the handlers something to work with.
Right.
And it's completely up to the handler if they want to do something with that. Like, the perfect example, I think, for me is when I wrote Nate Savage powerbombing Epsilon, and Cyrus turned that into a massive thing for Conchu. And he could have just left it, and just had Epsilon just run out the next week, like nothing happened. But he turned it into a whole massive thing, and I think as a match writer, that's kind of, when you're a mod as well, when it's not like a handler writing their own match, that's part of the job, from my perspective, to give the handlers stuff to work with.
Right.
Because I think in the write up, and that's why I enjoy writing matches for the Fed. That it is my favorite part of being a mod. Other mods I know will say match writing is their least favorite part. Writing matches is my favorite part of being a mod. Because yeah. So it's my favorite part. So I'm and because I like doing things like that, I like thinking of spots and thinking of how I can do things in certain ways. And then part of me thinks, what can someone do with this? Yeah, even when it's obviously not involving my own character, and what I can do with it as well. Because obviously, I can work that in from my perspective sometimes. Like, I mean, we're back in business this year. The main event, the Peacock Cyrus match. Me and Cy have talked quite a lot about things that can happen in the match. If Peacock wins, we can do this. If Cyrus wins, we can do this. And if that happens, you've got that to work with if you want to, and I've got this. So, and that's part of it. And that's why I'm always happy to talk to people about matches I'm writing for their characters. And if they want things worked in, I'll do my best to work them in. And if you don't tell me, I will just do things like, have your guy come out right at the end and eliminate him after 30 seconds. So if anything, really, Tony, it's your fault. You didn't tell me what to do with them.
It's truly my fault. And you know what? I got a good chuckle out of it because when I read it, I was like, this son of a bitch. But I was just like, but the crazy part was, I was like, okay, you caused Sean Summers to go crazy. But again, let's get these people what they want, because they've been waiting for what, probably
Let's
an
do it.
hour. Let's
Break it down.
But here we are. So we're finally at it. The 2022 Carnal Contendership match, main event time. We're starting off with who other than Danny Toner and Uncle. They make their way out to the ring. Man, when you were writing this, like, that atmosphere that you were setting up for it. And you get the whole, everybody loves this. Even though now he's a heel, we probably won't get it anymore. But it's like the Danny fucking Toner. Like, it's like those little moments creating that atmosphere. Boy, it gets me hyped each time, because I'm just like, I know I'm reading this, but I'm not the best. I don't like reading that much. I know that sounds terrible, but sometimes things just don't catch my attention. But stuff like that, like where it's like, you create this cult of personality behind a character, and reading their entrance, reading the hypeness and all this stuff, it really adds to the match. We've got their entrances. They get into the ring. We've got Danny Toner and Uncle. Walk all of us through this. You've got them in there. What was your idea for, like, all right, this is how we're going to start it?
It had to be because of what was coming. It had to be Danny just for this first couple of minutes, just beating the fuck out of Uncle. So, like, he uses Uncle's own mask and starts, like, whipping him with the tentacles and starts choking him with it. I think it had to be because what I think is important is that this is obviously Danny at his freshest. This is Danny before he's been beaten up, so he needs to be on top in this moment. Have Uncle start to start to get an offensive here wouldn't really make much sense. Because then say Uncle wasn't top here, Danny's literally getting nothing in for like the first 15 minutes of the match. So it was important that that Danny kind of started off hot, because
if like Danny doesn't start hot, then why would Uncle need all that nephews to beat him down?
Exactly.
Right. That's a good point. Let me ask you something, because in my opinion, I don't get to read as much as I would like to when it comes to the shows, unless we do like a live read. And then the uncle character is one who, at first, I detested. I hated everything nephew. I didn't want anything to do with it. I said, "This is the stupidest thing I've heard in my life. Get it out of here." And then all of a sudden, I was like, "I'm a nephew. Yeah, I'm a nephew. Get me a shirt." But the uncle character, I don't see him as my view of him, and this is just me from a non-reading view, but just like a high level. I always was like, Uncle isn't that big of a threat by himself. It's when he's got his pack behind him that he becomes like this, like, oh man, this dude's kind of a threat. Is that a correct assessment of him for this match?
That's how I've always, I've written quite a lot of Uncle matches. That's kind of how I've always written him. His gimmick is he is a troll. So any advantage, the way I kind of always done it is any advantage he gets through, cheating. He takes any opportunity he can to bend the rules, and he'll involve the nephews as much as he can. But he is smart and cunning at the same time. Like for example, at the end of Cosmic Playground 1, he beat Peacock on his own. There was no there was no bullshit there. There was no nephews running in, or he just because he's smart. He outsmarted Peacock and won that match. So kind of that's how I've done it here. And the way this kind of opening was written was that there is no outsmarting Danny Toner just coming at you. Like, you can't get away. He can't, run away. Because in his mind, he's thinking, "Oh, I've got all these nephews coming up. I need to kind of, I need to be here for that."
Yeah.
So he was, and Danny at this moment in time wasn't massively interested in trying to eliminate him either. This was Danny just getting a bit of, getting a few licks in whilst he could.
Which I think is the dumbest strategy in any type of over-the-top rope battle royal. I don't care if this person has killed my child and this is the first time I'm seeing them or whatnot. If I'm trying to win this thing, I'm throwing you out, and then I'll come after you another time because I'm gonna see you. But man, that's one of my biggest things. I'm just like, do not let. I mean, I guess it's human, It's human to let your emotions get you. Like, oh, I need to beat this guy, but man, I'm just like, you're an idiot. Win the match. Get the W real quick, then go and beat them. Because you're gonna let your emotions cloud your judgment, and then boom, you're in the middle of the ring with what 15 nephews and um and a space pod, and occasionally, and maybe like some jobber who we randomly threw in here. Like, that's crazy, man. You could have killed him. You could have got rid of Danny. Danny could have not caused some of the problems that he had in this match had he was thinking clearly. But I like that you did it that way because it shows, Danny Toner is like, how much of a badass he is. So we keep going. So we get in here. We get our first entrant. It's one of the nephews, one of the more forgettable ones because I don't remember them at all.
Whoa,
The
whoa,
Leviathan.
whoa,
How
whoa.
dare you?
Whoa, whoa,
How
whoa,
fucking dare you?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Rest in
These-
peace.
Easy. I'm sorry. 1,000 pardons.
These guys are like top 5 nephews easy.
Oh, easy. Okay.
They
Well,
were
again, remember,
they were
I was
killed
a
way
nephew
before their
hater.
time.
All right. So clearly, you all are a fan of the Leviathans. I'm not. We keep going. The Leviathans. This is his first obstacle. It's almost as if Danny. Okay, because this is e-fetting is literally writing and reading or whatever. So I'm gonna give you guys a reading moment. You remember the Odyssey and how Odysseus had to go through all these trials and tribulations or whatnot? Co- It it's almost like Danny Toner was Odysseus in these moments, and the nephews were all of these little tricks and traps that the gods had put against him, so that he wouldn't be able to make it home back to back in business. I'm kind of off there. Anybody catching that drift too, or no?
Oh, I just remember Homer with the donut.
I think that's like a good comparison. Like it. Flexing your literary muscles like that.
But that's kind of how I felt. Man, I know that probably wasn't what you were going for.
Oh
And
fuck.
speaking of gods, can I offer my own personal perspective,
Yeah,
Uncle?
of course.
Because like man said, I think he's a big fucking troll. Like he just sees like wrestling, like people in general as sources of entertainment. And his like main goal is to get as much
Mm.
entertainment from things as possible. I think that's why he doesn't care as much when he loses or when he doesn't even try that much harder to win. I think like if Uncle wants it, he can just turn into big fucking Cthulhu and like destroy the world or something. But where will be the fun in that? So Uncle just does this and like
Yeah.
puts those obstacles into those obstacles in front of Danny because like it's so fucking fun to watch Danny overcome shit,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah. And I think that's what the MO of the character is. He likes to break people for his own amusement. You know, I mean that is exactly, I can speak from a personal perspective. If Chris Peacock didn't have that feud with Uncle, he would be a completely different character at the moment. He'd still be the city disco guy. But it's because Uncle literally just broke him down by repeatedly just fucking him over and stomping on him, and then obviously Uncle won in the end as well. So, that for me is that character, and that is a similar kind of process that he was doing to Danny here, because as well, it's worth remembering at this point that Uncle knows that he wants to break Danny down, but also actually
Hmm.
a nephew has just won the world title, and Danny is Danny. As well as trying to just kind of break him emotionally, he is trying to hurt him here. He's trying to
Yeah.
reduce that threat to Thomas West. So that is why the deck is stacked against Danny like this by Uncle and by the nephews, because their objective is to stop him getting to back in business. And the reason they just don't throw him out, for me anyway, is like what Oz said. It's for that entertainment thing. Oh, we could just throw him
Wow.
out, but where's the
Shit,
fun in
I
that?
didn't even think about that. That's
You
crazy.
know,
That's some real good heel stuff. That's like not even heel. I'm just gonna call it what it is. That's some villain stuff, and it's almost cartoonish villain, like the Joker.
because there's a line here from Uncle that I wrote in the promo. He leaves this match when I say
Hmm.
so.
Mm.
So, and he sends a warning. And then basically this next kind of few entrants was kind of a bit of a play on the
Hmm.
Brock Lesnar thing you mentioned earlier. Because you're expecting people that are going to come in, to help Danny out or, make things a bit easier for Danny. And the first entrant in the match that is not Danny or a nephew is fucking Ratted the Kitchen. Exactly. He has a match. He has a match at Back in Business this year, and Danny Turner does not.
I personally think like this like subversion of expectations, like sending out Red in, like it obviously didn't help people's annoyance about the first half of the match because like you said it yourself, the purpose of the first half of the match was to annoy people, and people actually get annoyed.
Yeah, mission accomplished. So let's go through some of these eliminations. Who we got? We got Rat in the Kitchen. Was that the first person to be eliminated from the
Yeah.
entire match? Oh God.
So
So then we've got them being eliminated. Then we've got Kung Fu Boom. Who's Kung Fu Boom?
Shout out to Jimmy.
Jimmy King
yeah,
made that one. Okay.
yeah. So again, just these two absolute losers.
Okay.
Um,
So
so again, but there's two of them. So you think, oh, actually, maybe they could do something, and then of course, um, they fall the same fate, and then again, it then turns into once these goobers have been dealt with, that's when the nephews then start attacking Toner even more, and at this point, they are. They've got chairs. Uncle's blinded him for absolutely no reason. And then we actually, and then I thought in this next section, I thought actually, you know what? Let's do someone who might actually have a chance.
yeah.
So that's when Nate Savage comes
Shout out to
out.
Jimmy King.
Yeah, Jimmy
Shout
King again.
out.
And I'm just gonna add that you'll see in these first few entrants. I just want to triple check. Yeah, all of the fodder to this first part of the match, they're all mod characters. I wouldn't do this to a non-mod character. Um, so it's one thing to remember because the mods we do put our own characters through shit because we feel you know what, it doesn't really matter as much because it's us.
Yeah.
And so, but there's with Savage here, obviously there's a subversion where instead of trying to stop the nephews like the previous people kind of did, he actually goes, "Oh fuck it, you know what? I'm just gonna I'm just gonna take out Toner as well." And so Uncle was very happy about that. But then Nate Savage does what you said, CBK, and tries to throw Toner out.
Absolutely.
And then
Get rid of him.
the nephews then turn on him because again it is Uncle's dictating this.
So as you're explaining it, and this is what I really why I really wanted a podcast like this, because as you're explaining this match, it's actually far more entertaining now, hearing the backstory behind it than when we were reading it. And Oz, I remember you were there. There was a couple of us in there, and I remember we were reading, and we were just like, "Oh my God, get out of here! Get these nephews, get these losers up out of
Yeah,
here." We're trying to see the real stars of the match, and like I can only we were hot in there, like, and then like it'd be like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're like, and it's like nephew number 14 is coming to the ring, and we're just like, oh my God, throwing our hands up like this is crazy. And but hearing you talk about it and tell us like, hey, this is the reason behind this is the X behind. Love it. You're giving us exactly what I wanted. So let's keep on moving through it.
I should
I
have just
guess
been in the live
preliminary.
read.
Thank you. So
um,
in advance, we just say thank you, but
yeah.
also, yeah, man. So Nate Savage, he's getting a little shine in here. He's eliminating people. Whoever Eric Bana, I know David Bana, but I don't know Eric.
Eric Bana is a real life actor, right?
Yep.
He
Yep.
he played Hector in Troy.
He was also he was the Incredible Hulk in a film as well.
Who's the handler behind Eric Bana? Who came up with that one?
He's a nephew.
Yeah,
He's a nephew. Okay, all right.
Oh, so he is a nephew. He was a nephew at this point in time. Yeah. So yeah, he's So I think he had featured in a couple of nephew promos. I want to say mainly connection ones. And he was also in he might have been in this Thomas West one or a different one. But spoiler alert, he does die in a promo. So I believe Eric Banner is. I believe the actor Eric Banner is canonically dead in the FWA universe.
Where are we at? How many people? We're at entrant number 8.
Yeah, Eric Bana just came in,
Yeah,
and
Eric Banner.
Nate Savage is eliminated. And out
So
comes fucking
in typical trope style, Uncle gets on the mic again and says, "We have Eric Banner. That's right, we're Hollywood." And then Hollywood Joe Burr comes out.
Jesus.
I think of these things. And then Joe Burr comes in. He's offered the chance to join in. The crowd is chanting, "Joe's going to kill you." Obviously, Joe Burr with some history with the nephews because Harry Harry took his gauntlet title, and then Joe kicks Ungle in between the legs.
What a guy.
Yeah, that was basically that bit. But then Joe Burr actually cleans house a bit as well because none of these
He is the character
nephews
of
are
the
any good.
headnot.
He is. That's right. This was a bit of foreshadowing for a man character coming in.
This is the precursor to FTN, a character I created that you handle beating up
Yeah.
nephews.
And
Boom.
then
All
and then
full
Alan
circle.
Price says, "I wonder who's next." And of course, it's Alan Price himself.
Now hold on. Before you
Yeah.
go any further, that is probably the most banger
I was so good at
theme
it.
of anybody, and out of anybody in the I'm not even joking. I will run through a fucking wall if I hear those trumpets. Bum, 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 bum. I will run through a fucking wall. That's how hyped I will get hearing that because I'm like,
Excuse
this
me?
is shit's about to go down.
How do those trumpets go again?
They go.
Sounds very 2004 Rumble.
Obviously, then we get a rare JOWF bomb. And then obviously Joe Burr's getting his shit kicked in, and Alan Price is just watching. Then it's left with Uncle and the nephews and Alan Price. Danny Toner's still just fucked. Alan Price starts smiling because he knows who's number 11, and it's the fucking edgelord himself. This was deep boogeyman era Chris Peacock. So yeah, and this for me is the reset point of the match because everything that happens here after Chris Peacock comes in between Chris Peacock coming in and the next entrant, we are left with. I mean, Alan Price is still technically in the match, but it's Peacock and Toner. So if you want to think of it as two matches, you think of it as Chris Peacock and Danny Toner are number 1 and 2. And they then obviously both go the rest of the length of the match together. I think the stuff everything that happened before this, I know some may disagree. I think it was necessary for the sake of Danny's story. And for, I think just a bit, for the entertainment factor as well. Because, there was some stuff in there that like I've said, kind of watching, I would have enjoyed, the whole swerve of, Ratton coming out in the savior spot and obviously completely not doing anything. And the same thing happening a few more times with, I think, if I'd have taken this any further and gone on any longer, then it would have been too much, even for me to say. But I think this was the right kind of time, number 11, 10 entrants in, that's all happened now. And here's Chris Peacock someone who, the only person who hates the nephews more than Danny Turner. He comes out, and obviously there's the whole history between Peacock and Toner, and then Chris comes out to help him. And as you can see here, Peacock just goes fucking wild, eliminating all these guys, and then it comes with Danny finally eliminating Uncle, and then that is that section of the match over, and instead of Peacock and Toner kind of growing up and stuff, they at this point in time do not get along at all, so they just start fighting themselves. Even though Chris did that because he hates the nephews, not because he wanted to help Danny at all. Because they've just recently had a match a couple of months earlier.
Yeah,
that's when Chris broke Christy and Quinn's leg. And Chris and Danny just haven't been okay at all, really, properly since that happened. They had obviously the great 8-man tag team victory where they worked together, for kind of that kind of sake, kind of put
the greatest promo of all time.
Greatest promo of all time. Put their issues aside, for the sake of that match because it was a common enemy. I don't think that would have happened if the nephews weren't the opponent. And again, I don't think this would have happened if the nephews weren't kind of the other force in the ring. Peacock wouldn't have come out to help Turner at all, but here he's actually, helping him. He gives him one of the Singapore canes, and then he helps Danny clear house. So that's kind of the ending of that match, that bit of the match. And I think
now that like the big controversial piece of this match is over, like should we like share our like final thoughts on it before moving on to the second match?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So let's start with baby cakes. Rawr, tell us on the first half of this match, the first match. What are your thoughts on it? Just kind of after hearing a man go through it and kind of explain his reasoning behind things. What are your thoughts now?
I thought this before Man explained his thoughts on it. I thought it was brilliant. Of the first 10 entrances, only 5 of them were actually nephews. You guys acted like the whole match was just nephews coming in and kicking the shit out of Danny Turner. Such unwarranted nephew hate.
That's true.
You should all be.
I would never be
yourselves.
ashamed of hating
Everyone
nephews.
in the FW
living the
Discord.
gimmick. I think Raw is right, but also I see where you guys are coming from. I think had I had like you fucking both of the Leviathans, shitty little Alphonse and whoever the fuck else, if they all had individual entrances, I would have expect people to gone absolutely fucking wild, with what the fuck is going on.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a bit why I think I was a bit kind of taken aback by, oh my god, people fucking hated this. Where, the whole point of them coming in together was to avoid that, but still achieve the same goal.
I think after hearing you kind of explain your vision and the reason behind it, as I said earlier, I think that this is I get it now. I get it. And I think I said this before to John and you, I want to take the moment to apologize because I was one of the loudest voices in the hate for this and it's truly unwarranted because one, had I sat my ass down and actually been reading the shows leading up to this, I would have gotten, hey, this actually all makes sense and is necessary. And two, when you not knowing how much I knew how much you put into the match, but not knowing the reasoning behind everything like that, I guess it's still a combination of one. It kind of is like, oh man, now that I hear you explain it and tell the reason why, kind of like the LOLs and the secrets in there, it's like, all right, man, this is all good. And as Rawr had pointed out, we were complaining as if there was like 30 nephews that had been entered into the match. But like at this point, I mean,
I think there's only actually 7 of them.
if I'm being I was just gonna say that. I was gonna say if I'm being generous with my math, it's probably only 7 have been entered, and now we're getting to match number 2. But before we go there, Oz, what's your thoughts now after hearing Man's explanation?
So like obviously I have like mellowed out to this part over time, but like I think I was also like I don't want to say loud, but I was also vocal about like not vibing very well with this part of the match because
Mhm.
well, one of the things Roar mentioned was about being a great Royal Rumble was like that star power, right? And this is a whole aspect of the
Hmm.
match with like yeah, with Danny Toner, Nate Savage, Jobber is like the third best star in this whole. Oh shit, I forgot about Uncle Jay. I'm so sorry. Okay,
No, you're right. You're right.
we got Danny, we got Jay, we got Nate Savage, we got Jobber. I think it went out a bit long. I would still say to this day because it's like 10 entries. This match had like 40 or make 35 entrants. That's like almost more less than one third, but like more than one fourth of the match.
Hmm.
I personally like, yeah, I am more warm to this than I was before, but I still don't think it's like a stroke of genius.
That's fair. That's
I
fair.
I I'm there with you. I'm right there with you. I'm kind of with I'm like I get it after hearing what Man said. I'm like, all right, it makes sense. I get it. Yeah. Is it my
Yeah, but
favorite
like, yeah,
thing that
man, talking about it like mellowed me out as well. Also, like getting to hear about
yeah.
Jobber coming after like Eric Bana, those little details. I think they're neat, you know.
Hmm. And it's those things that we don't get to really talk about because I always say it's like this for the mods. When we're doing those live read-throughs, you all get to sit back like the parent who told the kid, "You're not getting anything for Christmas." And then when they see their kid opening the gift and their kid sees, "Oh my God, I did get this for Christmas," and the parents just like, "Mm-hmm, I did that." It's like that's how you all seem to be when we're reading through it, and so getting to break down just these moments in the match and hear your thought process behind it and the fact that you can remember this stuff. But I remember when I first approached you about, like I want you to break down the CC match. You were like, I've been waiting to talk about this. So, so just knowing that you're like, yo, man, this has been I've been waiting for.
Yeah, it's not so much because like I need to say my piece, and there's nothing like that. It is because obviously it's not something I like to do. I like throwing in these little details and stuff, and not just in matches I write, but in my promos I write as well. I like throwing these little details, but I don't want to. You don't want to be the person that's all like, oh, I did this, so people might not have noticed this. And I think part of it is the fun of letting people see if you notice those things as well. Like with a grade, I grade promos all the time. There are stuff I miss all the time, I'm sure, but but there are stuff I like finding out and conclusions I like jumping to myself because that's the whole point of this all. If I came out straight away
Mhm.
or in the live read for this match and said, "Oh, well, this is supposed to be like this," it A takes people out the moment, and B doesn't let them make their own judgments on it. Like I said,
Mhm.
it was designed to be a bit annoying, but like Raw said, but Raw wasn't annoyed by it. Other people weren't annoyed by it, and other people obviously fucking hated it. But those are interpretations that
Mhm.
people are allowed to have, and that's the whole point of this. I'm just happy that something I wrote has made someone feel something. Whether it was by design or not, because like I've said in match writing, you can just do something really vanilla, bog standard, low effort, or you can actually try and do something to kind of evoke a bit of emotion and
Yeah.
and get people feeling something, and that's as a writer, that's rewarding, whether it's a match or a promo.
When I think about writing, I'm just like, if the writing doesn't resonate or it doesn't make you feel weird, it doesn't make you feel good, it doesn't make you feel angry, something like that, then it didn't leave any impact on you. It was just kind of there. But it's some good writing when you walk away with some emotions. What I want to point out is now we are into the second half of this matchup, right? And so Danny Toner and Chris Peacock are in the middle of the ring, and we finally get our second entrant into the second half of the match, who is Cleo DeSantis. Let's start from there.
Yeah, so this arguably is like the highest she's ever been in terms of, on her own. The highest she's ever been in terms of kind of like dangerousness, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, she comes out. Her coming out here is like a big deal, where and she's presented as an equal to Peacock and Tona in there, because she comes in. They're fighting. Obviously, her mere presence scares Adam Price, and then she just starts beating him up and then eliminates him. So she gets the elimination there, and then obviously she's focused on Price, and then Tona takes her down, and then we then start moving on into more of the star
Before
power.
that, can I note that Alan Price outlasted JJJ in this match?
He did.
Yeah, not in terms of time in the ring. In terms of time in the ring, he outlasted quite a lot of people, but he no, I think Uncle did like 17 odd minutes, and then Price did 4 minutes, which I think as we go through you'll see is actually quite a respectable amount of time. Although he did.
Truly.
Up next, we got Ray Gun Cole.
Guys, I said we need star power.
Man, walk us through where you so you're starting to get these characters in here. We've got Cleo, we've got Reagan, we've still got Danny, we still got Peacock. Then we get who's after this? Wait, did someone get eliminated?
Some total bitch comes out next.
1, 2,
Oh
3,
man.
So this is
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You know what? I feel like I
Nine.
should know these numbers or
Auf.
whatever the hell they're saying, since it's German and everybody assumes that my character is just as Nazi. But like, I have no idea what they're saying. But all I know is I'm just like, it sounds like a hate crime. And Aleister Black is coming out.
Aleister Black is in the match because he is the ex-champion,
Okay.
and a lot of people want that title, so he is in there. He was in there to further that along. But this point in the match is about making it, affecting that, making it clear that it is a different type of match to, what came before it. The ring's starting to fill up. No one's teaming up with each other. So, it is becoming more traditional, and you're filling it up with these bigger names to, swell the ring a bit, and then as you'll see, kind of the match as it goes, the eliminations come at a much different kind of pace. It's not, one person comes in and eliminates everyone like we saw with the nephews. It's a different kind of thing now, and I might be wrong. Is this the first ever time Chris Peacock and Aleister Black were in the ring together?
Nah, Warehouse, son.
No? Was it Warehouse?
Yeah.
'Cause
Cybernetico.
Well, they were on the same.
We're on the
But I
same
don't think
team,
Warehouse is canon.
I think so.
Warehouse.
It is canon.
Oh yeah, Warehouse. Yeah, Warehouse. Then yeah.
Absolutely canon.
Can I just say something that I just realised? That's not to do with this, but I just realised something. You know how Jeremy Best and Crash had their whole that all started because of the Cybernetico, and they were teaming together.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, we had Peacock and Black, who worked so well together in that match, and who are the tag champions right now.
Hell yeah.
That's foreshadowing.
Oh
baby.
boy. It definitely makes no sense that they're friends.
No. Fuck you.
All right. So who's next? The Coven. Is that a whole team?
Yeah, this is two people coming out at once.
So, okay, let me stop you right there because I actually have a couple questions that I want to ask. One, who is in character the general manager? Because it's a brand split. It's Meltdown and it's Fallout. What did
Mhm.
Fallout give that? What did Fall? What, who agreed that? Yeah, you can go ahead and your number 15 can be two people, like, or your number 13, your number two
So
can
I'm
be
not
two
sure.
people.
Yeah, I'm not sure we ever addressed it, but for me, my thinking was this doesn't happen many more times in this match.
Right.
This may be the last time in this match that two people come out at once.
hmm
Um, the thinking behind it obviously was, I mean, the nephew's just going to do whatever the fuck they want,
Right.
and considering it was open entry, also kind of if actually it could be maybe art imitating life a bit, where the management said, okay, fine, you want all these nephews in, but they can't all come in one at a time
Mhm.
because this match will go on for fucking ever. So, it's a bit of a cop out answer, I know, but
No, no, no. You're fine.
it's for the Coven were coming in here because this was when it was all starting to them trying to get Cleo involved and stuff like that. So
Okay.
Sully's been cooking with this for quite a while, and it's something I know at the time he was definitely pushing for. To start moving. With Cleo coming off of her big King of Deathmatch tournament performance, she was starting to move into this, and the Raven was coming out and helping her here. Was kind of I mean, Sully will tell me if I was wrong, but her starting to get in with them and seeing the value that they can provide her.
hmm So that's a story within the match, which is one of the elements that our boy rawr pointed out makes a good rumble. Yeah, a story. No, okay.
Oh
All
yeah.
This is
right.
quite a funny line.
Ray sneaks up on Black though and starts trying to
Um,
tip him over the top rope. Chris Peacock comes and seems to be joining in. Okay.
Peacock and Regan Cole teaming up on Aleister
Who?
Black.
Why would you team up with a nobody?
Well, I mean, it's like you said earlier, Chris was just trying to eliminate people.
That's true. That's true.
Shout out to Gipper.
Shout
Yeah.
out to Gipper. I'm giving you a hard. I give Reagan Cole a hard time, but I actually like Gip, so go fix.
Shout out to Blaine.
Oh yeah, Blame.
Oh yeah, shout out.
Yeah, Blame coming in here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Xavier.
Sawyer Xavier, formerly known as Show X.
Yeah, I would love for him to just tell us
Sauce.
how to pronounce that because boy, I never knew.
Source X.
Sauce X. There we go.
Yeah. So yeah, so Xavier comes in, starts doing a few bits. Then we have the best theme in the Fed, and the boy
Oh
Khonshu
man,
Hao.
Khonshu Hao.
Yeah, I'm a massive Khonshu Hao fan. I mean, so much so.
Mhm.
I think for the 2023 CC, how we said it was one per character, one character per handler. I had
Yeah.
one spare slot, and I was like, I'm giving it to Khonshu. I'm giving it to Khonshu. So Cyrus was the only person that had two characters
Oh,
in.
man. Look, that's praise right there.
Yeah, big time. So Khonshu comes in.
Shout out to Cyrus,
Shout out to Cyrus.
friend of the pod.
Then we have another nephew.
Harry. That's Harry, right?
There is no backup here for Harry.
But where is Uncle
And
Jake?
he gets he gets the Muhammad Hassan spot. So everyone picks him up and throws him out. And the next entrant, I believe, is quite a special one
Holy shit. Holy shit.
because it is the
Holy
first
shit.
FWA
Holy
appearance
Yo, look, can we
of
shout
Jeffrey
Shout out
out
to
Mason.
Jeffrey.
shout out to Jeffrey,
Yeah.
best friend of the
And
pod.
so
Love
I
him to
remember.
death.
So I don't even think I knew Dustin like amazingly well. Like I was definitely nowhere near as well as I do now, obviously. And then kind of he was like, oh yeah, as anyone can come in, me and Gip were thinking about doing this thing. Can you do this? and he was like, "I've got this character." So he told me a bit about him, like I knew very little about Jeffrey Mason at this point in time, and I don't think he'd even whipped up a profile. I was like, "I need just give me a couple of moves that he would do." Because he was like, "Yeah, I want him to come in, eliminate Regan Cole, and then just dip." Like that is what he's there for. Regan Cole, nothing else. Don't care. So for me, I was all right with that because it meant a very quick and easy section to write in a match. But again, it was another story beat because I'm thinking fans watching, they're thinking, A, who the fuck is this? Why does he want Regan Cole? Why is he, just throwing away his chance of winning the match, just for the sake of taking Regan Cole out? So, sorry. Yeah, that was fun to write, and and obviously now Jeffrey Mason is where he is, future trios champ.
Is this the greatest moment in Carnal Contendership history?
I'd say yeah.
Yes.
It's just pretty cool that we were able just to debut 100%. Someone that stuck around as well in a CC.
Yeah, because I feel like if I'm not mistaken, in this CC, well, we'll get to it.
I mean, yeah, there were a couple of other first-time appearances.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you want to talk CC debuts, shout out to Cyrus.
Is that how you debuted?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you won it.
Wow,
FWA,
that is some, oof. All right, so Jeffrey Mason and Regan Cole. Is it Regan or Reagan?
Doesn't matter.
Right. It doesn't
Reagan.
matter. It's whoever the hell we decide it is. So then we've got our next entrant into the match, and it's Jackson Phoenix, Big Dick Phoenix.
Shout out to Jimmy
Shout
King.
out Jimmy King, friend of the pod.
Yeah. So Jackson Phoenix comes in, and obviously because this is coming off of the whole Khonshu Undisputed Alliance stuff, so obviously immediately he's gone straight for Khonshu, and the match is actually starting to fill up quite a bit now. With all these people. So Phoenix comes in, this is kind of one of those typical kind of entrances, that you get in Rumbles and stuff. Someone comes in, hits all their moves, and then, then they kind of settle into just trying to eliminate someone, and then the next entrant comes out.
I know this entrant very well.
And it
Yeah.
And it is a big
Shout
one.
out to the Prodigy.
Shout out to Prod, friend of the pod. Bro of the pod.
Prodigy.
Yeah.
Friend of the skies. Probably on a plane right now. So yeah, Parr comes in, and this was kind of what I was talking about right at the beginning. Yeah, and these big names, you'd want to give them a couple of eliminations. It helps boost the credibility. Like, oh shit, Mike Parr's here now. And he's, because obviously, Mike Parr's here now is like a big deal because he's Mike Parr. For me, you then got to back that up with why he's a big deal. So that's why straight away he's in and just taking out a couple of people just like that.
Mike's coming off main eventing BIB
That's
the
true,
previous year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Looking to do it. And then, about to do it again. And then next is XYZ.
Shout out to TJO.
Yep.
Shout out to TJO.
So, and this section was the culmination of Aleister Black being in the match. Because
setting up the X4.
Yeah, this was setting up the X4. So, I think because obviously Yuno wasn't in the match here. I can't remember at the time if Yuno wasn't going to be in it and someone else was. I really can't remember. I want to say maybe at the time we were thinking that Sawyer Xavier might have been. But I can't remember off the top of my head. But we would definitely, Cleo and XYZ were definitely going to be in it. And so that's why. And they also, I think, if I recall at the time, had a bit of a little mini rivalry going along, but they've worked together to eliminate Aleister Black and both, boost their own X title chances. So Aleister Black is out.
Oh my god, that's huge.
It is huge.
So shocking.
The next one, I imagine this raised a few eyebrows in the read-through.
We are entering
Multi-millionario.
we are entering into AON territory right now. Brace
Yeah,
yourselves.
this is the AON section of the match. So this is
This section deserves the hate.
No,
you're gonna break his heart.
no.
I will say, and I'm sure that AON won't mind me saying, but I really did not want to include this shit in this match. Like, even I was like, this is too far. This is if I am saying something is too far, that is when you know. So I mean, I really actually like this character though. So obviously me and Aowen have talked quite a lot. We talked quite a lot about it like back in here. But we've actually talked about it since because I know that AON really wants to do something with this character because he's basically like he's like a final boss type of character. So, showing, he's got all these minions and basically they just come out and start beating the shit out of everyone in the match. Like, he's essentially trying to buy victory in the match here. And then you have Valiant that comes out. And for those of you who don't remember, this was all happening around the kind of time where the BAOW tournament was happening.
Yeah, the 80s things, right?
So the 80s stuff. So Valiant was from that, and so he is, everyone going crazy because this is like if, assuming he wasn't like a total piece of shit. This is like if Hulk Hogan just came back, basically. It's that kind of thing. That's how the character, that's how the character history has been written. So all the fans know who he is.
Mate, this character is like 60 years old.
Yeah, he's like a 60-year-old dude.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, this section of the match.
Oh, fellas, I've just seen the next match, and
I did not want this dragging on. Which is why Valiant came out immediately after. And again, this is kind of another kind of soft reset of the match. I'm hoping to kind of just keep things, because like you guys said, I'd have known people reading this from the start would have been fatigued. So the whole point was, here's a bit of low stakes nonsense that no one really cares about. That sounds really harsh. Here's a bit of low stakes nonsense that and then we can kind of reset, and then again we then come in with another big entrant, and obviously where he ends up finishing, another big entrant in the match, and then Jeremy Best.
What a big baby face who will surely not turn out to be a massive fucking psychopath.
Again, Dub didn't have many requests. Yeah.
Shout out to Dub.
Dub, friend of the pod. Yeah. So Dub's one request was, can Jeremy come out with the Easter Bunny and handing out gift baskets? Yeah. And then of course the buzzer then rings again after Jeremy's got elimination. The Easter Bunny removes his head and it's big fat Brian Baxter. And then again, because obviously you had the Conchu UA stuff, the buddy system were in there as well. So
Dennis Honor smashes an Easter egg over Brian Baxter's head.
He does.
Where is the part where he eats the egg?
I don't know. I can't remember if I wrote the part where he hit the egg. Did I
Because
write that?
according to Jeremy Best, that's why Danny Toner wins the match because he got a second wind out of that chocolate.
I'm not sure if I wrote that. That was quite funny though. So that again kind of ends that bit of the match. And that kind of feud as well, because then these guys, all for a bit go their own separate ways after that. And so, we've still got some big names in the match, still a good number of people in the match, even with Khonshu and Phoenix being eliminated here. The next is someone who returned during this year's Carnal Contendership, which is Chris Grow.
Shout out to Battle Tank, friend of the pod.
That's a
Friend of the
battle
pod.
friend of the pod.
Well, hold on. He needs to come back full time before he can be a friend of the pod.
Yeah, acquaintance.
So associate of the pod.
Yeah.
We need another Chris Crow run.
So Best comes in, if Crow comes in, and then again Crow, North American champion, he's in here pretty much the same reason Aleister Black was. And we have Yuna coming in next. They win again. Yep. So Yuna comes in, and then another little tidbit from me. Yuna, being the pirate character, then gets hit with X marks the spot by my part.
Ah.
Oh god, the frog splash. No one kicks out of that.
Neat.
Then another big hitter. Mr. Cyrus Truth, winner of this year's one.
Shout out to him.
Can I ask a quick question? Is Cyrus Truth the first 2-time winner of CC, or has
He's
that
the
been
second.
done before?
The second.
Who's the first?
Michael Garcia.
Wolf, I think.
Who?
Speaking of who?
So Cyrus. Yeah, there we
Speaking
go.
of.
Wow. Entrant
What a
number
fucking
30.
smooth. What a smooth transition.
It's as if we planned that. So this was Wolf. All of a sudden, just returning. We had no prior idea until he just randomly showed up and posted a promo in the promo thread, which was really cool. It's good to have him back for the hot minute he was here. So Cleo again. I mean, like I said, Cleo, was on a big high at this point in time, and to me, lasting 27 minutes in a battle royal is, suggestive of, okay, you know what, we think a lot of her.
Yeah.
So, because I remember Sully did promo, it was a good promo, and it obviously, unfortunately, it wasn't one of the top 7, because this was, I think from kind of position 2 or 3 downwards, this was ridiculously competitive. So that's why we ensured to do that, because I think we've made it clear in CC write-ups, we don't anything from 7 and above, that's all in order. But everything kind of outside that top 7 is for the sake of the match, basically how the match can flow best, because it doesn't make any difference really. So Wolf comes in, big fucking deal, big guy, eliminates Yuna, who did not last as long as Alan Price. And then, Wolf again, just showing how much of a threat, previous 2-time winner, eliminates Brian Baxter as well. So he's coming in just 3 eliminations off the bat. 3 pretty big ones as well. Then next is Johnny Johnston.
What a legend.
Shout out to
a friend of the pod.
And then here is a spot I felt necessary to include. Again, a bit tropey, a bit of kind of tribute to things that have been done before. Wolf yeets Danny Toner through the announce table. If it wasn't bad enough for Danny, everything he's kind of gone through already. He had the nephews, he had fucking Peacock, Multimillionario, and all that and all his stuff, and now he's been through the announce table. So, kind of again, bit of a trope, I'd admit, but
I think that spot is especially cool because when Tig writes this whole and I don't want to say ensemble cast, but when he writes promos where he mentions the legends of FWA's past or the when he has friends, he more often than not, then he mentions Wolf. So I thought that was a cool spot.
And then so Wolf, even though Johnny Johnson's come in, am I right in thinking? Yeah, Johnson actually hasn't gotten into the ring because Wolf is in there just fucking killing people. So Wolf, Johnson is typical heel stuff, and then Wolf has kind of taken everything else to everyone out, everyone else down. Then we got Jason Randall. Shout out to Jimmy.
Shout out to Jimmy King.
Friend of the pod.
Randall comes in. This was, just another kind of one to run it through. And then is Mr. Mustache Maverick. Yeah. So, as noted here as well, Crash was the runner-up of the previous year's Carnal Contendership. So, yeah, he was the runner-up of last year. So again, pretty big deal. He's here. Crash comes in, kind of, because at the moment in the ring, it is just big hitters in there, and then Crash comes, takes them all on, and then he's about to fight Jeremy Best, and then they have a hug.
Oh,
yeah, that was regrettable.
it's super fucking cool that I think Crash and Parley do a little car crash reunion with dual aerial spots.
Yeah, there was obviously that in there as well. And then Johnson finally gets in the ring. He doesn't like them hugging, and then they both deck him. So, a little bit of light relief there.
Yeah.
Lizzie Rose in next.
Oh, I remember who comes after Lizzie.
Do you now? So Lizzie comes in. So very similar to what happened to Aleister Black earlier. Chris Crow's eliminated by Truth, Johnson, Randall, and Rose. All people who go after the NA title shortly after this. These all meltdown.
Shout out to AON.
Meltdown people.
Just the four men in the ladder match, right? Lizzie wrestles Gabby.
No,
She does at that back of business, doesn't she?
no. Gabby wrestles Nova Diamond at that one.
Does she?
No, it was the previous one. Nova retires in that BIB against Felipe Jackson.
Yeah, sorry, no, I got that wrong. Yeah, so was it? Yeah, okay, yeah, maybe Lizzie got taken out of that then. I don't fucking remember. Sorry, Owen. Sorry, ET.
It's the president of Turkish Republic herself.
So Luna Piper's in, the Battle Royal specialist. Although she has lost quite a few more than she's won now.
Yes.
And Luna Piper does not have a long stay in the match because the power comes out. I'd like to ask Raw what he thinks of the power.
Yeah, what do you think of the power?
I wish we'd have a power outage.
So this is after as well. Again, I love writing the spot where an innocent young woman picks up Luna Piper's goggles and gets
You're a monster.
It's happened to Trixie like 3 times. Um, yeah, I just think it's such a good spot. So the Luna's in and out. And next up we have the most overrated song in the Fed,
That's a
in my
Yep.
opinion.
Preach, brother.
Yep,
Preach.
yep,
Shout out to Jam.
yeah. So we've got Gerald Grayson in, another nephew, but the kind of least nephew. So he almost gets a pass. And then Gerald Grayson, whenever I write him in CCs, he is my Kofi Kingston. So Luna
Nice.
Piper's DJ Dex saves Gerald Grayson. So yeah, it was. I liked that I was able to, even though Luna was gone and didn't stay long, she still had a bit of a lasting effect on the match. And I've just seen
me.
I've just seen a
on
typo
the
as
fence.
well. Oh, I've seen a typo.
You've seen a what?
Oh no!
Disgusting.
Oh,
Worst
Oh.
match of the year.
And you can't go
Literally
back and
unheard
edit
of.
that.
I'm gonna get Ed to.
Rip
gonna
WC.
No wonder it didn't win match of the year. This would have never happened with
No.
SS. I'll tell you that much.
A lot of the stuff that happened in this match wouldn't have happened with SS.
Entrant number 37, though.
Here is Gabrielle.
Shout out to
friend of the
ETE.
pod.
Shout out to ETE, friend of the pod. Most loved
ETE,
friend of the
friend
pod.
of the pod. 100%.
So, yeah, Gabrielle comes in. Yeah, you're right. This was building up to Lizzie and Gabrielle. Yeah, because Lizzie gets knocked from the apron and Gabrielle catches her. Because this was if I'm remembering the story right, Gabrielle kind of wasn't acknowledging Lizzie and stuff like that, but this was a bit of mini validation for Lizzie for a moment, only until kind of a minute later where Gabrielle then just turns around and eliminates her, because this was also Gabrielle at this point in time was trying to get back to the top of the mountain.
She's always trying to get on top of something. All right, next entry.
And then Caden Knox, who
Caden Knox.
So Caden Knox, who for those who may not know or remember, was found backstage unconscious earlier in the show. Well, yeah, earlier on in the show, he was found backstage, but he's here. I can't remember where that went.
Hey, what was the payoff to the storyline he started before he left?
The Lawyer one?
Yeah,
one?
who was the higher power for that?
Yeah.
I don't think it's revealed.
Oh, it's the higher power. The higher power is that's on screen.
Wishes.
Caden Knox is here. And we're in. We got another nephew.
From 39.
Number
This is
39.
the worst theme. FWA history.
We have Quiet. And just as this final nephew comes out, this is when Danny Toner gets back up.
All right.
Shout out to John.
Toner is not happy, and so he goes straight after Quiet, and Quiet does not get a lot of time in this match.
Adam Price got 4 times the amount of time Quiet got.
I think that's right.
Honestly, if I was a wrestler, I'd be so upset if an announcer got longer time than me. I'd be pitching a fit in the back. I'd be like, "Are you kidding
Oh,
me?"
speaking of announcers,
Anzo.
Oh boy!
Shout out to SS.
So the commentators here started talking about, we're coming towards the end now. So at this point in time, it's everyone knows that because it was advertised as 40 people. Everyone knows, it's Devin Golden and Sean Summers. We know who's coming next. But no, a complete surprise to everyone. Philip A. Jackson's here because he PM'd his promo, so only the mods knew this was happening.
So, what was the live reaction to Patch return?
Literally crickets. I think only
I
person,
did mark
only
out.
I think
I
only
did mark out.
Oz.
Fuck
Yeah,
you.
I was like, I think Oz was like the only one because a lot of us was just kind of like, oh, we didn't really get to experience FWA with him. So and that was the CC read through was a weird one because we didn't have our usual group, and it was just kind of just like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. But again, yeah, I was like,
We are
again,
making up. Yeah, we are making it up for it here.
yeah, exactly. Before you keep going, have we heard from Padge since he disappeared from the Fed?
No, I think he just said he was kind of done. So, yeah. I mean, look, from his perspective, when he came back, I think maybe things were just a bit different. Let's not say he wasn't doing. He did. I don't think he did bad, but I think, yeah. I mean, he came back, became a Grand Slam champion, so I don't think he can really complain.
He was a champion.
So,
Allegedly.
I didn't grade it. I
don't know if he won that match at all.
So he came back, did some stuff, and I think it was a case of, I think and potentially, arguably similar to what happened with Wolf. Kind of times had changed and kind of metas had changed, and
Yeah.
me and SS weren't here before. So Padge comes in, gets a couple of eliminations. There goes Anzu. Price did double the length that Anzu did. Jason Randall got a good little amount there, and then Gerald Grayson goes as well. So again, Padge is pro mode. I might be wrong. I can't remember. I want to say Padge was the one that just missed out on the GO. I might be wrong on that though. I might be wrong.
On the
GO.
G8?
For those of you who didn't know,
What is?
Philip A. Jackson is a former Golden Opportunity winner.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what
Yes.
you meant. I was like, Geo. Who the
Some
hell is that? Golden
Some Italian
Opportunity.
guy. And then, so yeah, here's Devin Golden. With that, guess who?
Guess who?
Devin Golden's here, and so Chris Peacock's objective in the match changes because, as well as wanting to win it himself, because obviously this was in the middle of the build to Chris Peacock, Devin Golden at Back in Business, and just after Peacock had cost Golden Rock the tag titles, Peacock and Golden had obviously lost his own title. Peacock did not want Golden in the Golden Opportunity match. So that's why as soon as Golden's there, Peacock, he comes out the ring, cuts off his shitty promo, and then starts, beating him up. And then Golden then almost eliminates Peacock. And then we get to the final entrant in the match.
I think at this point we can go ahead and just discuss the fact that we've waited an entire match, almost a full hour. Shawn Summers has been waiting back there in the wings.
Yeah.
Literally an
1 hour.
hour. He's been waiting back in the wings. And you just have to imagine this guy, Shawn Summers. He's an asshole through and through. Like, call a spade. He's an asshole. You can imagine he's probably angry, grumpy. He's got this whole entire entrance planned out. He's gonna come out to the ring. He's about to make his grand entrance, and then he gets in the ring, and who does he see? Michael Parr. And he's eliminated immediately.
So he
48
So he-
seconds.
Shout
Well,
out,
I think
shout out CBK,
Yeah, shout out
first of the
CBK.
pod.
Love that guy. Love that guy.
lovely. I think Shawn Summers was just thrown out of his game because he was expecting to be out earlier, but like he waited and he
So-
waited and he waited. That's why he got
So the write up
so
was he
early.
comes in.
You know,
I mean, so the biggest heel in the match, Summers immediately, and then he goes after one of the biggest faces in the matches straight away, Jeremy Best. And then
What a fool.
he gets up on the second rope to taunt, talk some shit to the fans, and that is where Mike Parr pounces, bumps him out. So yeah, that was Sean Summers in the match, but
Genius.
Summers, not happy obviously, but then he is forced to leave. But before.
So let's talk about that real quick. Because what was the decision? What was going through your head? Because the thing that you would think if you were watching wrestling, oh, Sean Summers has been eliminated. He's pissed, but him and Mike Parr have got history. La di la. Sean Summers is going to come back into this match and eliminate Mike Parr, right? That has to happen. Why? What was your thought as to why you didn't take that trope?
I think it, for me, it was. I mean, I couldn't remember if I did do that, to be honest.
I don't either. I can't remember either.
I might have done that. Where is he? Yeah. That is what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yes.
We'll cut that whole entire part and we'll act like it never happened.
Yeah, and then obviously when Summers
we're
leaves,
editing that out.
yeah, he then comes back and eliminates Parr later in the match. I decided to kind of go for that trope because it would just make sense. So now we're in the section of the match where everyone's in. We've got I think it's 12, 10 people in the match still, and we've got to start winding this down. We're looking at that top 7 now. So we have first to go is Wolf, but as you can see, it takes a village.
Real quick.
Again, people who you wouldn't expect to be working together. And then Crash gets eliminated by Caden Knox. So Knox then, because Knox had been out of the ring by a while, for a while. He then came back and, took an opportunity to eliminate Crash. So Wolf's gone though, but he's not done because he then runs Crash through the ring barricade. I can't remember if we were going to do Crash and Wolf. I think I may have pitched it, and then that's why I wrote this, because it would have been Wolf versus Wolf. But obviously, with how everything's worked out with last year Back in Business Crash and everything with Jeremy and stuff, I think obviously what happened was for the best.
No pun intended.
No, there was not.
No pun intended.
So then carries on, kind of, people are just getting finishes. People are hitting finishes fucking left, right, and center at this point in time. Chris Peacock spits in Devin Golden's face, which I forgot I wrote. And so Padge is next to go. So, the two returning legends, kind of one goes after the other. So the next was a spot I tried to plan quite, meticulously, because it fed in with Peacock's goal to eliminate Golden, stop him getting a golden opportunity. But we have Golden and Knox getting eliminated at the exact same time, which is what led us to the 7-person chamber, as opposed to 6 that we had last year. I can talk about the kind of non-kayfabe reasons why. It was simply just because so Knox, who was actually the 8th place finisher in the match, and Mike Parr, who came 7th, their promos were just so close. We couldn't split them, basically. So we said, fuck it. You know what? They can both go in the chamber. And you notice I didn't say Devin Golden there because to affect that and to work in with the story, I spoke to TGO about it. Not to tell him this was happening. This was a big, if this is the case, can we do something like this? But it would have been with 6th and 7th as opposed to 7th and 8th. So spilling a bit of beans there. Devin Golden. So TGO actually he actually came 3rd. But he got eliminated here to work with the story that was being told between Golden and Peacock, because it makes no tangible difference where you finish, between 2 and 7 or 8 in this case in the Golden opportunity, because all it does is and I won from 6. So
I won from 5.
The only impact it has is kind of on your kayfabe entry order, but the match is always written in such a way that doesn't really matter. So
right.
That's why that happened. So Golden actually did come 3rd. I think it was 3rd, not 4th. But so Golden goes out there as well as Knox. But they're both, whilst it wasn't confirmed. And also, I might be wrong. Sorry for yawning, but I might be wrong. But I think we were a bit unsure. I think there was a bit rumblings whether ETE was going to be hanging around or not. So we also had this as kind of a get out that we'd still have a 6-person chamber if that did happen. So because obviously Gabrielle did leave not too long after Golden Opportunity, but. We weren't 100% sure because I think ET had said some stuff at the time. I might be wrong on that, but we thought, okay, we're covered now as well if that does happen, that we have 6 people in the chamber. And then, as we discussed earlier, Mike Parr is eliminated because Sean Summers is back and he eliminates him, gets a bit of revenge.
Setting up the main event.
Yeah. Exactly. And then, so we are down to 5 in the match now, which is Peacock, Toner, Truth, Gabrielle, and Jeremy Best. I tried in this part of the match to kind of tell a few kind of smaller stories. But this next bit is literally just all Gabrielle and Cyrus, the kind of, the two legends, still,
in the history they've had.
And, with everything they've had going on, they have that bit, and then, Gabrielle gets the better.
Yep.
Gets the better of Cyrus. Cyrus gets the better of Gabrielle there. And the doubt was obviously, it's a typoed line, but is this it for Gabrielle? Because the story kind of was, if Gabrielle couldn't do this, was she done? So, and then Cyrus gets eliminated by Toner straight away, and we're down to 3. Kind of Jeremy Best, who's not been in this position before. Chris Peacock, who's kind of flirted with these, high finishing positions in the GO and the last year's the CC before this one. And Best hangs in there for a good while, but eventually Peacock manages to eliminate Jeremy Best. And then we're down to 2. Chris Peacock and Danny Toner.
I'll tell us all this time.
Beauty and the Beast, Danny Toner and Chris Peacock.
Yeah.
Clearly.
As long as Peacock's
I was going to say,
as long as
clearly
Peacock's the beauty, I don't mind.
Danny Toner is a beast in that ring.
I wanted to do quite a long finishing stretch, to be honest. They have, despite everything that's going on with them, they have a bit of a bro moment. This was a bit of a callback to the year before, where Chris Peacock and Randy Ramone had a similar conversation. Because the previous year Peacock and Ramone were actually kind of working together, to keep each other in the CC. And it was just after they had a similar conversation that Peacock got eliminated. But then they had the bro moment, and then they start beating each other again. Then they start slapping each other. They're just having like a full-on fight. Peacock hits for the only time in his career, hits a Frankensteiner. And then, like I said, it goes back and forth quite a lot. I wanted to drag it on, keep it, keep the suspense. But then they get onto the apron. Toner pushes Peacock. Peacock hits the ring post. Peacock falls to the floor. Toner wins the match. Both these guys, only two people in the match to do over an hour. This carried on the story as well from the last year regarding Peacock, because Peacock started number one the year before, finished fourth. So he's got a record of lasting a long time in these things. A massive fucking right at the end, and it ends. Yep.
He's here for a long time, not a good time.
Yeah. Now, I have a
11.
question. What number did Peacock come in?
11.
This match? 11. Imagine, man, and here's just hindsight 2020. Man, what if you would have made Peacock come in at number 4? And so he was the fourth to last eliminated. He came in fourth place last year, and then to get eliminated number 2. So then the next year, Peacock comes in at number 2.
Chris Peacock,
and
of
gets
course, wasn't in it. Wasn't in it.
He was world champion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be in CC24. Who
Probably
knows?
should have still did it. So we hit the end of the CC. Danny fucking Toner has won it. Amazing story that, hearing it the second time around, much better than the first time. The first time there was fatigue, there was emotions running high, because man, and it was a lot. And now hearing you read it, I'm like, this is actually a good fucking match. Not gonna lie,
Cheers, man.
I think we may have over exaggerated. Oz, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Man was pretty much right about like this being like two matches in one. I think like I already shared my thoughts about the first one. Like I think it's good, but like there were a lot of fair points at like why people were pissed at it. But like the second match is just
Yeah.
it's good. Like I think it's a testament to how good it is that like it carries that first half into a match of the year nomination,
And it's a shame because the sentiment going when we were talking about match of the year, the sentiment was still high of everybody, because I guarantee no one went back and read the match. And if you did, I'm gonna call you a liar because I don't believe
Well,
you.
CBK, you literally boosted the
No,
winner of that match by reading it with your sultry, lovely voice, mate.
I did. I sure did. And I'll be back again. But I think that if you went back and read it now, and I think your whole entire opinion would change. And I think well, even if you would have read it back when we were doing the voting, that's where my original thought was. If you would have reread it when we were doing the voting, I guarantee this match would have probably been up there as one of the top contenders. But man, you said earlier in the pod that it wasn't, right? Not even close.
I can't remember fully off the top of my head, but I think
was nominated, right?
I don't remember. I think I preferred the Golden Opportunity match I wrote last year to this one, so I was more. The reason with this one, it wasn't so much for like the quality of the match. It was more like we talked about earlier. It was the fucking condition I was in, and I'd still managed to do something.
Yeah.
Um.
So I guess my other question to you would be, if you were to give this a Meltzer rating out of 5 stars, where are you putting this match on the Meltzer rating? Or actually, I'm gonna call it the CBK rating. 'Cause I'm
Shake
better than
Meltzer,
Meltzer.
please. We have
No,
a Canon
Shake
Meltzer.
Meltzer.
The Shake Meltzer. There we go. The Shake
I
Meltzer scale.
I
4 out of 5
I
stars.
don't know if I can rate something I wrote myself. To be honest, it sounds like a cop out, but
I think I think you can though, because you wrote it. You as you were reading through it again here. Come on, give us that rating,
I think
man.
it could.
What do you think?
I think it was good. It could have been better. So for reasons we discussed and kind of other preferences, I think I'd probably say like a 4, but I'm being a bit generous to myself there.
4 out of
Yeah,
5.
probably.
Oz.
I think 4 is like perfectly reasonable. Because in a Royal Rumble match or a Carnal Contendership or whatever you call it, like there are a lot of variables that contribute to the quality, and like even the simplest one is like is easy to mess up. Like yeah, like the
Yep.
first
Yeah,
stuff,
I
like I
agree.
wasn't the biggest fan of it back then, and while I'm warmed up to it, I still don't consider like great. But with that, I think I will give it like 4 and 1/4. 4.25 is like I think that's
Yeah.
very solid.
Yeah.
Mm.
Rawr, what you giving it?
Well, this is a 5-star match at the start that is mired by everything that happens after the nephews are all eliminated. So I'm giving it a solid 3.5.
Oh,
3.5. Three
fair,
and a half.
fair.
But I will
Okay.
say it's a 5-star writing effort from a one-handed mod high on pain pills.
That's true.
Shout out to man, guest of the
That's
pod.
true. Yeah, shout out to man, guest of the
Cheers,
pod,
boy.
friend of the pod, because he's a friend too. I think if I were to give it a rating, after hearing you go through everything and kind of listening through it, I think I'm right there with Oz. Me and Oz are synced. For, yeah, 4.25. 4.25, I'd give it
I
that.
appreciate that.
Just because of everything you've put into it. Now, here's a question for you because I think I think I have to go ahead and tell you this. For the 2024, would it be the 2024? Yeah, 2024 CC?
Yeah,
I don't think you can write it.
you don't.
I don't think you I don't think you should write it.
Do you mean he's not physically able,
I don't think you
or
should.
he shouldn't?
I think he needs to let someone else do it. And that's not, and so I'm being dead serious because my reasoning behind it is while I think while I think the effort you've put into this one and the one that we just finished with a couple months back, I think it's great. I think that the Carnal Contendership should be a two and done for each mod or tag a team of mods. I think that it keeps it fresh. If we
Mm.
just keep having man righted or just man righted 3 years in a row, it, you're liable to get stale. And I don't want that to happen because this last one that you put together, I think was really good. But I think this next one, I think either, I don't, you can't write it solo. Someone else has got to jump in with you if you're going to do a team, if you're going to be involved in the writing of it. But I do think, and this is a call to the mod team. One of you needs to step up and write CC. I'm honestly, I'm going to, and I know he doesn't have the time to do it because this person has so much responsibilities that going on. I actually want to see Dub take it on.
Oh, I'd love to see Dub give it a go.
Yeah.
Dub in one of
And
his bookers wrote he wrote the WCW 60-person World War III, whatever it's called. So
World War Three.
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and if Dub Daddy is like, oh man, it's a little bit too much. I can't do it by myself. Let's bring in the other dad. Let's bring in Man and Dub and Man combine together to write a CC. But Man, Solo, you're solo. I'm taking your crown. I will commit regicide on this podcast. You cannot write another one for 2 years
I'll tell
by
you
yourself.
I'll tell you who I wouldn't mind writing it, and I know they won't want to.
Who?
I would love
Who's
Wolfie
that?
I would love Wolfie to write one.
Oh my god, yes.
Oh, don't get me started.
Is
Don't get me started.
is that the year where Luna Piper finally gets 40?
So like,
I think I agree with you on that. Wolfie writing, that guy, I mean, best friend of the pod, wolf of the pod, unibro of the pod. He's just
Goat
great.
8-Fed
And
Rider?
a good writer too. What's that?
The Goat 8-Fed Rider?
Mate, one of. Honestly, truly one of. I think if we can weasel him to do it, let's get it. But I want to see Dub Daddy writing the next one. Him and Wolfie, the best friends. So that's my thoughts. Man, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us and record this, run through your work. I know sometimes a lot of people don't really like going through and rehashing their previous work, but I think you did a phenomenal job going through here, and you provided so much insight that I think that a lot of people desperately wanted for this matchup because, like I said at the beginning, it was definitely a controversial match. It was a controversial event. Let's just put it like that. But
Yeah.
this match, that match, people when we left that, I remember I left it and I told my friends, I was like, I'm reading this thing with my other friends, and then I'm driving over there and I'm like, I need a drink. This was But now, after reading it with you on the pod, man, you've opened my eyes to it, and hats off to you, man. So, any final comments from anybody on the panel? I'll start with you, rawr. Final comments.
Final comments. Be kind to your mother, tip your mud.
Oz, my co-host, my boy, what's your final comment?
Be rootin', be tootin', and by God, be shootin'.
There we go. And to our guest, man, is there any final comment that you have? And I'm gonna make yours a twofer. Final comment that you have for the pod, and plug anything that you think that you want to plug.
All right. Final comment. Thank you very much for having me. It's been nice to be able to talk about it. I like talking about eFed stuff, so it's been very fun. Very much enjoyed it. And a plug. Oof. It's not eFed related. Go and read Tig's B2B, man. It's so good. That's what I'm plugging.
All right. Hey, if you haven't
Yeah.
had a chance, read Tig's B2B. It's a TNA BTB. Tig is a resident TNA fan, and Tig's a great writer. He's phenomenal. Maybe we'll have him on here soon.
Yeah, he won this fucking
Yeah,
match.
he won this fucking match. So shout out to Tig. All right, I'm CBK.
Friend of the pod.
CBK. Tig is friend of the pod, CBK, creator of the pod, but also co-host of the pod alongside my broadcast partner Oz. This has been Break It Down. We will see you soon.